Do you rate the Jubilee government's performance on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the lowest, 10 being the maximum?
Can you allow me to rebut something?
Yes.
Just a little. My brother, this thing of winner take it all.
Yeah.
Supposing you introduce all those 5 positions under the current arrangement where the rest is between the deputy president and the former prime minister.
Yeah.
The former prime minister will have his designated beneficiaries of those slots, those 5 slots, as he goes into the competition. Similarly, the deputy president. And when either wins, all those positions will be taken by his own lineup. And the guy who has been defeated, his lineup and himself will have lost. If you wanted us to believe you, then you would have been at least more innovative by telling us that in the presidential election, the person who wins becomes president. And the person who is runner-up becomes prime minister. And the third person becomes first deputy president or first. That kind of thing would then be speaking to winner take it all not being applicable. But the way you are proposing, you will still have a set of people who have lost and a set of people who have won.
But because I didn't want to interrupt you,
Yes.
and you can just answer to the same. If you apply then what you're saying,
Yes.
you're forgetting fundamentals in the proposals that were there. Remember that the proposal that was in the BBI is that the person who garners the most becomes prime minister in terms of representation in parliament. You cannot predetermine that. You cannot have somebody who is handpicked and you're saying that this is the person who is going to be having the most representatives in parliament. That's a result of the election. So the others would be nominated, and I would agree with you that some of them would, but some of those you can predetermine. So it is still proximately, and that's why I used the word proximate, Trevor, that it is closer to the ideal, but not the ideal. You know, my brother Boni, it is not perfection. You can't argue it to be perfection, but it is forward steps towards a better day.
Mm-hmm. So on a score of 1 to 10,
Yes.
I would give them 4 out of 10 for the following reasons. The first one is that the president did not convince us yesterday why he is so obsessed with the military people doing civilian work, up to and including allowing a soldier to sit in cabinet when he knows that for somebody to sit in cabinet, that person must be appointed by him and get approval by the majority of the members of parliament. Number 2, he scores badly because yesterday he did not say anything about corruption. I think he was being clever because it is on record that members of his family and close friends benefited from the corruption at KEMSA.
And the Pandora's papers.
Yes?
And the Pandora's papers.
Yes, he cleverly, thank you, he cleverly avoided the issue of corruption because he knew that when members will be debating this paper, they will now bring in the issue of the Pandora papers. In Chile, where the president was also found to be mentioned in Pandora papers, actually the guy was impeached. In Kenya, as far as Wamatangi is concerned, Wamatangi, you members of parliament, and my sister boss, at least do something about it. Say something on the floor of the house about Pandora papers. The money that is in Pandora papers is not money that was earned. It is money which was siphoned from the public coffers. And the more we keep quiet, the more our country is said to be the 6th richest, when actually that wealth that makes us the 6th richest for Matangi ends up in accounts of senior people in Dubai, in Hong Kong, and British Virgin Islands.
Even then, you're aware that when the papers came out, there was a rider, that there was no evidence of how that money was acquired.
Are you real?
That was the rider. That was how it came out. The difference between myself and you,
I
you're
see.
a politician. I'm just stating what was out there. What was out there is that there was no evidence of wrongdoing.
Well, that is for you, but because I can't force you to differentiate between fact and fiction. If you're assuming what was reported about the Pandora Papers was fiction, that's why I'm asking you, are you real?
That is not what I said. They said there was no evidence of their money being acquired illegally.
I'm giving this guy...
So there has to be a full investigation towards this. You said that money was siphoned.
Yes.
How you came to that conclusion is what I'm wondering.
I'm giving these guys... It was siphoned. If it wasn't, how come it's only people who are politically correct who have those accounts? How come Sholei, who worked herself, almost broke her back in the judiciary when she was working there, she doesn't have such an account? It's because she was not stealing. I am giving them 4 out of 10 because of the issue of human rights. It is a shame that in Kenya people are still being abducted and they end up being reported to have been executed.
And Kamata Friday.
Yes. People are arrested on Friday just to be denied their rights under the Constitution.
Okay.
We must give them that poor score. And then finally, we are giving them this 4% because of the weight of the public debt. I'm not sure that the executive is asking Parliament to lift the debt ceiling from the 9 trillion so that they can borrow even more. Whereas we support borrowing, but the fact that there are no projects to support the money that was previously borrowed, then we are not comfortable that the debt ceiling should ever be lifted.
Okay. Yeah. When you say giving them 4 out of 10, I'm assuming you mean the executive, the deputy president and the president.
Yes, the deputy president and the president.
So they have both collectively failed.
Can I finish my statement?
Yes.
Yes. The executive means the deputy president and the president. But you know very well that from the time of handshake, the deputy president in office who discharges the function of the deputy president is not William Ruto.
So if they've collectively
Raila Odinga has assumed the role of the deputy president without having won an election. In fact, maybe people should be swearing themselves in illegally the way Raila did for them to be getting an opportunity to get a handshake.
So if they collectively failed, Boni, and that's what I'm wondering, if they collectively failed and you give them a 4 out of 10, how then do you convince Kenyans that the best candidate is the deputy president?
He's not part of it. The 4 out of 10 is the work being done by Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta. Who doesn't know in this country that the deputy president has been set aside? His duties were given temporarily to, what is the name, to Dr. Matiang'i, and thereafter Raila. They're the ones who have been doing it.
Okay.
The deputy president is